Hello Hunter, in this video I'm going to explain how to install VirtualBox on your computer. As you know, to work in VirtualBox what we need is a fairly powerful computer with a good amount of RAM so it doesn't slow down the system too much. Once again, remember that if you have a Mac operating system, if you're working with an Apple computer, keep in mind that this solution only works if you have an Intel chipset. It shouldn't be an ARM, meaning it can't be an M1, M2, M3, M4, or later, it has to be Intel. Once that's mentioned, what I recommend is that you go to the Red Hunter website. Specifically, we'll go to Red Hunter. And inside, we're going to go to the download links. You can see them here. And specifically, go to BetOven Drive. Inside BetOven Drive, we will find this file here that says BetOven Virtual Machine. Here, I recommend that you download it. You can click here. It's going to look for viruses and it's going to tell us that it can't do it. And we download it anyway. While this is downloading, it will take more or less time depending on your speed. Let's go download the VirtualBox program. This program is free. We're going to Downloads, and here we find various different packages to download. We're going to go to Windows in this case, but we could do it depending on where we are. In this case, if you have an Intel Mac computer, I recommend this option. And if not, then work with Linux, depending on what you have. If you notice, there's an option for Apple Silicon, specifically for Apple's ARM, has had issues so far, so I don't recommend it. So we enter Windows host, we will save it, and we wait for both downloads to complete. Well, in the case of VirtualBox, we can see that it has done it. We can click here directly and it will open the file. Like this. And, well, we can minimize this now, waiting for the OV to download that. It is a file that has a long load. We accept the terms. And we press next. In this case, I'm going to leave it in the folder C of program files. But in your case, depending on what you need, then install it where you need it. Here, we press yes. We press yes. Here, if you want to remove something, you can do it. In my case, I'm going to install everything with all the options. The first thing we're doing is installing the system that will allow us to virtualize Windows within our operating system. If we have Windows 2 on Windows, if we're on Linux or on Apple with an Intel chipset, Xiaomi. Basically, we install this program that will allow us to open this file. We import it, create it, and then it will allow us to have, as I was saying, a Windows inside. In this case, we tell it to open VirtualBox after the installation. And we wait. As you can see, while we're downloading the .ob, alright, we're all set. What do we need to do here? Import the usanjava. Once it's downloaded, so for now, I'm going to pause the video. Let's wait for the download to complete. As you can see, there's a little bit left. And once it's completed, we'll take that file and import it into VirtualBox. Alright, we have it downloaded. The OBA file, let's import it. It's in our downloads folder. We can have it in another folder. I recommend that you keep it in another folder and save it there. And let's import it. Here it asks us where the file is. Source files local. Let's see where it is located. Our .wa file Let's go to downloads here and here. As it's BetOven Virtual PC, we enter and press next. All right, this is where we're going to tell it how much RAM we're going to need to work. As you can see, by default, it's already asking for 4 GB of RAM. Initially, this should be enough. If you see that it's running a bit slow, I recommend adding more. It will depend a lot on how much RAM you have. If you have a large amount of RAM, for example, specifically this computer has 16 GB of RAM, we could give it a bit more. If you have 32, of course, I recommend increasing it quite a bit. This way, you're going to have greater fluency, and of course, BetOven is going to work better. As I said, in this case, I'm going to add a little more. Let's add 6. Let's see if it lets me. Well, we've messed it up a bit, but what we're going to do is upload it. See if it lets us. All right. The TPUs, well, for now, we're going to leave it at 4. And that would be it. We're done. Going to start importing. It's going to take a little while. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you a few things. What is it for us to work this way? Imagine you have an antivirus that you don't want to remove at all, and you have a powerful enough computer, you could work this way. My recommendation in principle is not to have an antivirus and work directly with the application itself, as we have here from BetOven, within the computer itself or within the server. That you have a computer with information very relevant, that you don't want the installation of BetOven to change anything, and you especially don't want to remove the antivirus. This is one option, but you need to have a very powerful computer with a lot of RAM and with a good processor so that it doesn't give you any problems. So I'm going to stop this. And at the moment it's about to finish the import, I'll come back to you. As you can see, the import has been completed. And this screen has appeared directly. On this screen, we can see that our virtual machine has been imported. If we close VirtualBox and we open it again, we're going to have this import completed. And what about the Torova file? We could delete it. I don't recommend it. I suggest you keep it saved in some area of your computer, but it won't be necessary anymore. We already have the machine imported, and what we'll do to work with it is, in this case, start it up. The moment we start, it will be like we're starting a computer within the computer itself. It shows the booting up virtual machine, and it's going to ask us if we want to change the state to full screen. We press change. And we start working. Can we minimize this screen? Don't worry. And we can work with our computer while VirtualBox is also running important issues. It's possible that after the import, you might encounter some kind of error when you try to start it up. Don't worry. Basically, what you need to do is restart the computer so that the files finish installing correctly. If you haven't restarted after installing VirtualBox, this might happen to you. Don't worry. Just restart the computer and you'll see that the problem gets fixed. As you see, we already have our computer. If we delete these messages, we see that we have a Windows where we have BetOven pre-installed and nothing else. We have it right here. It will give us a message from VirtualBox, but nothing problematic. And once we open BetOven, keep in mind that BetOven will have an older version. What we need to do once we open BetOven is, of course, update it. For that, in this case, I'm going to use a test profile. We start by entering username, password, and encryption password. And at this moment, BetOven is going to update. We're going to log in and it's going to ask us to update BetOven. As you will see next, remember that this process, especially the first time we connect to BetOven, might take a little longer because it's at this moment that it's installing some of its services, even if it's not updated. Once open, it might ask you to install an update. We could already work perfectly with BetOven as if we were working on our own computer. If you notice, you have the BetOven application right here. You would simply open it and log in with your credentials. It's possible that when you go to install BetOven after you've installed VirtualBox and started working, the version of BetOven might be somewhat outdated. Just when you log in, you'll need to update it, exactly the same way you would if you were on any other computer. In this case, the version is updated, but I'm telling you it could happen. Then, if you want to minimize the screen, you would need to go to this bottom menu. I don't want it to come out, the Mac menu, indeed, because I'm connected to a remote desktop, but well, you can see it here. We go here and we would already have the window so that we could move it. Can we leave it like this so that we have it like any other program? And we can keep working and accessing our folders and doing what we need. As you can see, it has been quite simple, a bit tedious. Are you going to spend a little time downloading the Nova and in the installation, import, etc.? But as you can see, it's something very simple. Of course, we would shut it down. Let's imagine that we want to stop working with BetOven. Well, we would close BetOven and shut down the computer, so to speak, virtualized. Inside our own computer, the moment we press shutdown, it will close. This window is going to close and we will only be left with the one from VirtualBox, the one from the actual file. We wait a little for it to finish shutting down. And that would be it. We would already have BetOven inside our VirtualBox. I hope this video has been useful to you. That you see that it is really easy to have VirtualBox inside your computer. And I simply recommend, of course, that you work with VirtualBox if you really have enough resources for it to work correctly. That's it. See you in the next video.